Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, or welcome back if this is your 8th Nancy Drew Season 3 episode review. I'm going to go check if it's recording, because funny thing that has happened to me, this is the second time I'm doing this episode review video-wise, because so what happened was, earlier this week, well, last week now, because when this is getting posted, my microphone of many years has decided to cut short on me, so I could not record my usual way for OBS, which is what we use, the program we use to record our episode reviews, because my camera has a glitch in it where basically after 12 or 14 minutes it will just stop recording. We have learned that many times throughout the past year, which is very unfortunate for us, but we found a loophole for this so we can be able to keep going. The downside of it is that since I don't have a microphone, I could still plug in the camera, but I can't use UPS. So what I had to do instead was go back to the old method of like manually recording and then manually uploading these videos to my computer. So hopefully it's all going through now, but the problem is that my camera button is very sensitive. So I actually did not record the first 10 or so minutes of the episode review. And to be honest with you, like, also by the way, the new desk is fully assembled. It's not fully put in yet, but it's like right here. It's like, you know, you can't see it right now, so this is the light source, kind of a little bit different than usual. So I'm like, okay, if I was gonna just reshoot the first 10 minutes and then just inserted it, it wouldn't be the same. I'm just gonna redo the whole review again, and I would have done my old method. The problem was that because I have no microphone, because I did have a secondary backup microphone, but I lent it to George because George didn't have his own microphone yet and he wanted to make his own content, so I decided to lend him the microphone, because I'm like, okay, we're not doing the podcast anymore anytime soon, so why not? Now it's like, fuck, I really could have used that, and he and I are busy for a while, so besides the Series 6 review, but I'm going to need it earlier, so I'm going to have to suck it up. But anyway, with that being said, going into just Nancy Drew Season 3, this review, this episode review, I apologize. It will be a little bit more straight to the point, because my knowledge has gotten extremely limited on this episode, so I do apologize. The core of it is still there, but the problem is that I'm going to forget a lot of things, so I do apologize, which is why, again, it's called the Butcher Recap. Go watch the real episode so you have some sort of understanding of what the hell the fuck I'm talking about. But from what I said last night, well, last night was when I recorded it, this episode, I thought it was average. It was just a subpar episode of Nancy Drew. It was nothing special to write home about. It just mainly continued the story. It wasn't bad. It just was a very standard episode, which is not a bad thing. As long as the quality is consistently okay, it's going to keep going. And so for me, I'm not really complaining all too much over here, so that's just my perspective on the matter. But anyway, beyond that, like, really, it's just like very slow, like moving the chess pieces over to get to the next stage, which is going to be pretty, hopefully, huge next week. Oh, now this week, when we do come for the mid-season finale, because we're going to go on break for a while because of the holidays, and also to give the cast some time to, you know, R&R, finish up a couple more episodes. But anyway, I still found this episode to be fairly okay at the end of the day. Again, it's fine. Let's go for the Butcher Recap and talk about this week's episode of Nancy Drew, even more butchered than normal. So we begin with the... Damn it. Yeah, so Nancy gets a visit from the new hotshot detective that's in town, letting her know that the Ice Heart Killer was found dead in his cell. Of course, Nancy was there with Temperance, so she really already knew about this, so she's not really abnormally surprised. But she's trying to act surprised, which I'm like, Nancy, you need to take some acting classes. If you ever go to college and you continue this detective work thing, you gotta improve on your acting skills, because this guy literally, like, point blank knew, like, you know something, and I know you know something, and you're not telling me, so now I have to go through the old hassle way to get it. So I thought we had a thing, man. I thought we had a thing. Also, timeline wise, it's been a few days since the last episode, weirdly, which makes no sense, but like, whatever. This show never makes sense with its timeline of how slow it is. I sort of got Nancy Drew. The series will end at when Nancy decides to go off to college. Whether that is going to be fall of the next year, so it's like, this is going to be the longest year. Like, I'll give them credit, like, it's definitely something new that I've never seen before. Normally, it's like, you do a season of television, you do the whole year, then you come back the next season, you do that whole year as well. I'm actually surprised. It's new to me, and I'm like, I'm all down for it, because, like, I want to experience something new. But anyway, enough about that. Bess is at the Historic Society with Temperance, letting her know about her achievement with the Soul Split, as well as, you know, what she's needed for now, as they need to catch the Copperhead monster, which is what they're calling the other Ice Heart Killer, but the supernatural version of it. So she's showing Temperance this old ancient device that was at the Society, and that does really mean that they have a chance of catching it, but they need some sort of bait. They need like a fish in a lure. Like you have you know where the fish is, you have the lure, but you need a bait. And Temperance is thinking about, like, you know, we're setting up the seeds here. We'll get to more about it in a second. But of course, Temperance is a little bit, you know, piqued because, like, oh, about a week ago you really couldn't cast a simple spell. Now you supposedly split two souls from each other. So, bravo, bravo indeed. Nancy shows up, immediately kicks Temperance out because after the last episode, she doesn't trust her at all. Like, literally, she does. Like, her order was just penetrate his mind, get the information, and let's leave him alone. No, she killed him. So, Nancy is now an accomplice to Temperance's murder, so that she is counted as liable. So, Temperance is, you know, kind of, you know, well, Nancy's kind of like really not happy, and she kicks Temperance out, and Bess tries to make amends in the moment, but Nancy's not really having it right now. Meanwhile, Nick is still AWOL. George is like concerned where she is, but of course Ace is very realistic. Telling her, look, it's still too soon. We don't know if a crime's committed. He just up and left. So we really can't go to the police because we're going to waste their time. Hopefully he'll come back soon enough, and then that'll be the end of that. But George, being the concerned fiance, as well as she just got her life back, you know, most of her lifespan back. You know, she wants to like spend it with her fiance, and he's not around. So where is he? That's what we all want to know, but he's just not around. We don't know. Did we do anything else? Yeah, so Nick's basically mostly absent in this episode. We'll see him later on. Bess returns to Temperance at her house, well, her manor, or not really manor, her fortress, I'll call it, the Fortress of Temperance. We're going to call it just that. I'm going to copyright it. Bess tries to make amends with Temperance, like just telling her, like, Nancy didn't mean that, you know, she just overreacted a little bit, you gotta understand. But Temperance is like, nah, like, you know, I know this already, I know how this goes, so, I'm not gonna, look, Temperance is like literally telling Bess, like, you gotta pick a side here, it's either me or her, and like, for me, it's like, no duh, she's gonna pick Nancy, me. Even though Bess doesn't even know Nancy that long, they've been through so much shit together in the last 4 months, and like, yeah, she's gonna trust Nancy with her life, because she literally trusted her with her life before, so it's gonna happen. I don't know what Temperance is thinking of, but I do get Bess's point that she doesn't want to let go of Temperance, because Temperance is the only person who can teach her the magical side of her family, because that's all she has left of herself. Because yeah, she's currently in the process of trying to get a girlfriend, but beyond that, her connection with the Marvins are basically dead. Her fiance is gone. Well, even though he was a dick, you know, he's still gone. She doesn't have that much left going for her, and I kind of do feel like this magic thing, like the only real thing that can make her again. But also, obviously, she has her friends in the Drew crew, but right now she's not really thinking of that too crazy. Anyway, where else do we go from here? But also before we leave, Temperance is making a note that, oh, I have this stone, this very powerful stone that could act as a bait. I want to offer it to you. Like, oh well, I'll leave it out here out in the open, and Bess literally takes it. She calls Nancy up, and they head over to the forest to do the spell, the whatever they call it, to lure the Copperhead and trap it. Conveniently, the hotshot detective shows up, because he was trailing Nancy. No wonder, he's a freaking pro in his field. And they're talking, and like, you know, they're trying to, like, you know, budge him out, like, you know, you really don't want to be here right now, but a source of lightning energy emits out, and then Temperance shows up, and the light energy hits her, and she's really wounded, and they decide to all conveniently run. And I'm sorry, like, this is my only complaint, like, this running scene is like, there's no suspense here. I don't know why. It could just be me or my eye, but like, I just felt no suspense in this running scene. I honestly felt like these are just the actors just running around, just like saying their lines as rehearsal. Not to say the acting in the scene was bad. I'm just saying that's what I felt like it was meant to be, because there was no tension for me. But they do manage to make it back to the Fortress of Temperance, who is bleeding in like in a light sense, because like there's like an open wound, but there's just light energy coming out, meaning that she has been touched by the light monster, as they're calling it. Meanwhile, George is back at the claw. Finally, someone's working at the claw today. And she notices this mysterious woman in Nick's office. George goes to ask her, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm one of his best friends, back from Florida. We used to be like brothers and sisters to each other, And I'm here to visit because he got married. He got engaged, and I want to like share my congratulations for him." And of course, George is like acting a little sus, like conveniently now, like when Nick's missing. That's when you decide to go and pay him a visit. But besides that, it's a little bit awkward because you have the best female friend and now the current the fiance. So it's like the two don't really have the same role in the guy's life, but at the same time like it kind of is like in the levels of importance of what the actual just how they work, how they operate really is. And also I'm trying to find my mouse because my computer fell asleep, even though it's not recording. I feel a little awkward whenever my computer screen goes black, even though like I'm right here and like I don't need it, but I just like it to have light. I don't know why. It's just a neat thing as well. They head back to the youth center. Nick's friend's making a really good impression on the kids. They all like her. George and her little sister are trying to find some sort of clues to find Nick, as well as research this girl who kind of checks out the fact that, yeah, she's just Nick's friend. There's never really, like, crazy about her. She's in college now, up in near, I forgot what state she's at, but she's close by to Maine. She's close by. And, like, there really is nothing to, like, really suspect her about, but, when Beth and her, when George and her go to talk privately, afterwards, they're trying to deduce, like, why would Nick leave? And it seems like the consensus is that he just left after he talked about his past with being a football player and the prospects he had at the time. So they assume like maybe that has something to do with it, but George obviously wasn't paying attention. And it wasn't George's fault per se. She was focused on trying to get the spirit out of her body so she could live for Nick. So it's not really her fault 100%, but still, she does kind of feel a little bothered by the fact she didn't know about it, beforehand. So I think from that moment onwards, where do we go from there? Yeah, eventually George does storm off because I think she just conveniently finds out that there was a photo of her and Nick in front of Maine, and early she said, "I've never been to Maine before," and then that was a clear lie. So they have been in contact recently, but George doesn't know what the heck really is going on, but she decides to leave her regardless to try and go find Nick on her own. Ace is doing something this week. I forgot. I know like there's an Ace and Ryan subplot going on back at the Historic Society. They're just doing some bonding time. I really don't remember what the heck their purpose was in that episode. I know the only thing is that Ryan is getting included. Well, Ryan knows that Ace has a crush on Nancy. Like, he does. Like, Ryan literally, like, not fully says, like, you like Nancy, but, like, hey, I know you have a thing for Nancy. I know that. I'm a guy too. I can pick up on these signs. And obviously Ryan is still kind of new at the whole dad thing, so he's not really paying the whole like, hey, I'm gonna watch you, kid. Like, are you worthy for my daughter? I'm gonna figure this out. But yeah, but I was like, besides that funny moment, I really can't remember much of what Ryan and Ace did in this episode. To be honest with you. So back at the Fortress of Temperance, dude. Sorry, that was a horrible pun. I apologize. They find some convenient fact with the light monster that whenever like one of the windows are open, it's its way in. So they close all the windows up so it doesn't get in. Temperance is really struggling, but she's starting to get like these like dream manifestations of like things from her past, like her daughter and certain other events. So whatever the light monster did to her, like it's searching for her most darkest fear, her most biggest regret, and kind of manifesting that as kind of like its food. Like, I need Temperance's suffering to live, which is kind of weird in my opinion. But I'm like, you know what? Praise the creators on originality because I never heard that before. So eventually the three of them, Nancy, Bess, and the hotshot detective, try to figure out like what's going on, what the clue is. Nancy and Bess being the supernatural side of things, and the hotshot detective like kind of just taking initiative, like trying to figure out why is this their biggest regret, what's really going on in her subconscious that's causing these things to happen. But eventually they do determine that her biggest regret is that well, supposedly is that when her daughter was of age, she met a guy, and the Civil War was just about to start, so he was about to get sent off to war, and she wanted to go with him, and of course, Temperance was like, nope, you can't go with this guy, it's a mistake, he's gonna die, you're gonna die, stay home. And she doesn't listen to her, and she's like, you know what? Off with you, go off into the great unknown, go die, like, it's your funeral. And of course, she does die, and one of the other biggest regrets is that the woman in white that was, in last season, they apparently cast a spell or did something to prevent Temperance from visiting her daughter's grave for some reason. I really don't know what the heck really happened, but that was what happened. So that was really unfortunate for all of them. So I still don't know quite how they beat the light monster. I think they just let Temperance, somehow lure it in so they could defeat it. That's what I'm assuming. Again, I apologize. I really do not remember much of this episode because it is not fresh in my brain anymore. I apologize. But they solve it, and Nancy doesn't fully trust her yet, but she kind of have this, newfound knowledge of her that is going to, really, you know what, you're not so bad after all. We have differences in actions, but you're not fully bad, which is a good thing, you think. Eventually, George and the best friend of Nick's eventually does team up and head over to a football stadium, a football field in a high school somewhere near Horseshoe Bay, where they find Nick throwing some target practices to kind of showcase that he's still got it, he's still got potential. George decides to let the best friend go ahead instead of her, considering the fact that A, they haven't caught up in a while, and B, I think she's the right face to see Nick right now. So she heads off, goes to greet Nick, and Nick's surprised, oh, you're here. I didn't know you were nearby, and that sort of thing. And they do a little small talk, and then she drops the bombshell that she's not fully here just to see Nick, but she needs his help because she thinks that she killed someone. And Nick's like, I just got cleared with the officer. Why are you sending me back to another murder case? I had enough of this BS. Not my best Nick impression, I apologize. I do believe Nancy does, I believe afterward Nancy does keep it a little bit, surprised that, the hotshot detective is more open to the supernatural than Detective Tamura ever was, and his predecessor. Which I'm guessing he's he's much of a younger age, and it's okay, I can be a little bit more open to this than you think I would be, so. That was cool, but however, later on, Temperance is writing a letter to her daughter, of all people, supposedly sending the message that she showed Nancy was kind of something that was on purpose, that it wasn't kind of accidental that this light monster was, targeted and captured. It wasn't also just the fact that Temperance was the one that got hit, but also it was an opportunity for Temperance to kind of gain some false trust with Nancy so that she can get close to steal the real thing, which was the Soul Splitter, which is what she really wanted for her own endgame, which we still have no idea what the heck it's about. So, also, I forgot to mention this. I didn't really find a good way to put it into this butchered episode recap, or whatever you want to call it. But so I made it by last time because great. Now I forgot what the bet was. So the bet was so they made it a very clear point in this episode that they are digitizing the Historic Society. Which I'm okay, there's got to be a reason to this. It's not just as simple as, oh, we're just going to digitize thousands of years of records just because we're bored. No, they have a purpose. There's a story purpose here, which my bold prediction that at some point during Season 3, they will burn down the Historic Society. So, if I end up being right, that means I can eat... I will eat something very fattening on camera that I really should not, but I'm gonna do it. However, if I do fail, if I do get this prediction wrong, the Historic Society somehow stays alive for another season. I'm gonna go ahead and actually just eat a slice of pineapple on pizza just to, torture myself to, saying oh, you're wrong again, Joseph, you're wrong again, but we don't talk about that. But overall, yeah, just to wrap it up, I apologize again if this was a very short episode review. I do apologize. It's just been very hectic in my house lately. Between Christmas decoration and getting this new desk in, and also just and now the microphone breaking, it's there's just so much things happening. I don't know when it's going to end, but hopefully with the end of the year upon us, we'll be able to get a little bit of rest time, rejuvenate a bit, and then kind of jump into when we do come back properly next year. But I do apologize. But overall, yeah, this was a very standard episode. Nancy Drew, definitely mostly building to the stepping stones of setting the pieces up for Temperance's, whatever her big plan is. Nick being involved in like another big thing in his life just before he's about to get married. So there's a lot of things happening. I will admit that. But this episode, there wasn't a lot of things happening. It was mainly set up for what's to come. And hopefully it's going to pay off by next week. And of course, till the end of the season. So we'll see then. I give this episode 1 thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below. What did you think of this week's episode of Nancy Drew? I love to comment down below to talk with you guys. So please comment. I think that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the 3rd season of Nancy Drew. Please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionX videos to stay up to date with any sort of updates we have for the channel. I completely butchered my rigmarole because I am extremely frustrated at the fact that I made one simple mistake. I forgot to press a button, and literally this entire episode review is out of whack. We do a Walker episode reviews. We do the Rookie episode reviews. That's also what we do. If you care about Nancy Drew, we'll be back this Saturday morning for the mid-season finale review, so check it out then. Subscribe to us on ActionX, ring that bell, like, favorite, share this review if you want to. Helps us get us out there to other members of the Drew crew who have yet to discover us. Helps us beat out that YouTube algorithm that hates me ever so much in life, and as well as sharings are free here on the interwebs. Also, please follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates for the channel. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.